Jain is an expert in cyber law who is enrolled in the Bar Council of MP. Sir has conducted various seminars on cyber law and cyber security. He is also the proud author of a book called Cyber Crime and Laws, which is easily accessible on Amazon. He also practices in the most interesting fields of criminal law, arbitration, DV matters, environmental law, and IP rights. Thank you so much for being on the show today, sir. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to talk to you on a platform like Legal Talkie. And it's my pleasure to come up here on your show.
Thank you so much, sir. So, sir, I was curious to know, why did you choose cyber law as your specialty?
As far as choosing a cyber law, it's a long story behind that. While I'm working in a law field or I starting pursuing law, there's a lots of cases or lots of cases are coming. My father is also a lawyer. So my father is a lawyer, and then lots of cases are coming to my father for regarding cyber law, cyber crime. And I'm also going to lots of courts and district courts and various high courts. So I'm talking, lots of police officers are talking about the cyber crimes and their consequences and loopholes in investigation and all that thing. Then I'm curious about that, and then I'm studying about the cyber law, cyber crime, cyber security issues. Or like that, after 2014, we have moved to a digital India. We have moved to a digitalization of our India. And now we are also choosing, the thing is that before the lockdown, the mobiles are prohibited in our courtroom. But after a lockdown, courts are on mobile phones or on our laptops. So this was a change in our culture and all over the things. So I am choosing that particular cyber field or a cyber security, cyber law field for that.
Okay, great. So actually a great observation by you that I didn't even think of it, that actually how technology is being accepted, with open hands in courts and everything now. So actually it's a great observation. So sir, I was thinking that cyber law in India, it's a very unheard of topic like 2 or 3 years back. So was it difficult for you to reach out to people and study cyber law as such? Because I don't think there are many teachers out there who are teaching cyber law the way that you would want to study.
This is also a reason behind that, to my reason to choosing a cyber law, because there are I can say that there are lots of lawyers, but there are some lawyers who are working in a cyber field. So if I do that or I'm doing that work, so I will be great opportunities there. So I am choosing that. Or yes, it is true that in the last 2 or 3 years, there is a law, the things cyber law are using by lots of people, but it is not true that, because our cyber laws come in the year 2000, in the year 2000, and after that in 2002 and 2008 there is a lots of amendment there. And in the year 2015, the very famous case Shreya Shingal versus Union of India, one of the most controversial case, or one of the most we can say that very famous cyber case in India. So are come. So there is a lots of things, but in the last 2 or 3 years, the ratio of cyber crime was increasing rapidly. According to the reports of Crime Records Bureau, National Crime, NCRB, and all that, there is a lot. Approx more than 400 crimes are in a cyber are increasing against the conventional or against the regular crime. So we can use, or we can hear the word cyber crime and cyber law in the last 2-3 years more.
For sure. So there are, even I can see as a young person, not as, so I was just seeing a lot of web series that are out there who are showing a lot of cyber crime that is happening, and who are basically made on cyber crime. So there is this great web series that I saw called Jamtara. So I can say that of course cyber law has been something which is emerging from, I think, the time which should be emerging from the time of 2000s, because since the thing called cyber started existing, cyber law also was a need of the hour, so so I think it's really great that you are doing this, because it's something that never even anybody of us has never imagined that something like this could exist. So what would you like to say to the viewers who are watching, who are maybe trying to pursue cyber law, or do like how would you like to attract them to this field?
Because I see that I am also taking lots of seminar or workshop or also a webinar in this lockdown period. So I see that the lots of students of the age of a middle age of a young age, we can say that 13 to 20, they are you trying and they are using YouTube and other social media websites to learn hacking and all that, but they are not aware about the laws behind that, and they are just for silly things to hack his to hack a friend's Facebook ID, to hack a friend's Facebook, to friend's WhatsApp and all that. They are doing silly mistakes, and they are doing a unethical hacking activities, and then get into a trouble. So the students are not aware about that. Even parents or teachers are not aware about that. So there's a lots of thing behind that, and because the youngster, we can say that now the times people are learning internet, learning mobile phones from the youngsters. Lots of people are learning that, and so the youngster, and I see that the youngster are getting into a trouble about without the awareness of this cyber laws and all that thing. That hacking into something, someone's accounts is also a crime, or making a fake Facebook ID is also a crime, or impersonating but through a means of communication devices are also a crime. Sending obscene material, sending sexually explicit material or forward is also a crime. So there is a lots of things that the people are not aware about that. So it is a thing, and because we are going forward behind to the digitalization, we are going towards the video conferencing of the judicial matters. We are in this period. So the thing is that the young lawyers have to need to know about that, and what to work on. In the last 2 or 3 days, there is a statement by Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, who was the chairman of e-committee of video of e-courts in India, or virtual courts in India. He said that the particular now the video conferencings are the things which is very important for the young lawyers and make a young lawyers a good career in a law field. And this is a thing that the young lawyers can do lots of things with the new technologies, new laws. And there is lots of not even a cyber law. There is many others laws like that: IPR, space law, environmental law, steel law, international law, media law. There's a thing that they are emerging topics of law. So if newcomers, if young lawyers can do a practice, can do a work in this field, then definitely he will get a huge success in this law field.
Right. So I can see that you have been a part of many other fields such as environmental law and everything, which is, I think, emerging topics right now. So if you would like to tell anybody about how these fields are, and what is basically every student who's going to go in these fields are going to ask you, isme scope kya hai? Isme scope hai koi? So sir, what do you think is the scope of cyber law, environmental law, and these specialization fields?
So basically scope, when we talk about the scope in this particular field is that, so the first thing is that the regular crimes, the regular laws are there: IPC, CRPC, criminal or civil laws or property issues. There's a lots of expert lawyer. There's a lots of a senior lawyer in this field, or who are working at that. So going to in this field and make your position, make your name, make your fame is not easy part, or not. We can say that it's easy to do work and at the big level and getting a success, more success in that. But in the cyber law, IPR, space law, environmental law, and the other international media law, there is I am not seeing that particular, but yes, there is a lack of people who are working in this particular field. So if a young lawyer, or according to me, a young lawyer can also have an approach, or also have an observation behind that in a technology words, in a space words, or in a media terms and other things. So he can easily go into this, and or easily can do work in this particular field. Or for a aged person, for a senior person, it is very difficult to read it out, or particular things, technological words. So for a young lawyer, it is very easy. So there is a lots of scope, and there is a lots of thing like that. Lots of companies are we can say that lots of companies are recruiting particular persons who are expert, that the particular companies are dealing with the international contracts. They are hiring a lawyer who are very good in international law, who are particular environmental, various NGOs are there. who are particular working on an environment. There are lots of things, so we can do a particular work on that. So lots of people have lots of opportunity in these new fields. So behind that, doing a regular course or regular work like doing that, no doubt there's in a criminal law, in a civil law, or in a properties issues, there's a lots of scope. But doing in the particular the things in other fields are also make you a great success.
Okay. So I was just curious about one thing that you said, that your father is a lawyer. So we actually had our previous guest with me here was Advocate Nishant Anand. He was a first generation lawyer. So what difference does it make for a person to have somebody in their family as a lawyer? How does it help you in your field?
Yes, there is a difference. But according to me, if you have an interest in a law field, if you want to work hard, or if you have to do something, so there is a nothing difference. But yes, in a starting period, there is some we can say that some opportunities are more for the young, for the first generation, for the new lawyers from a second generation, or law from a law fraternity family and that all that. But there is also lots of responsibility with like me. I have also lots of responsibility that you are a son of a lawyer, senior lawyer, then you have to do good, you have to do well.
You have to make it silly.
Yes, if you are doing a silly mistake, the name behind your father name is also behind you, and that all the things are also important. And the first generation lawyer is a open space. You can also and there's a lots of things. There's a mistake is also happening in that in a first starting time and all that. So first generation lawyer have also good responsibility. But it is a good, yes, it is not a big difference, but it's a small difference behind that. If you are in a law from a law family, or from a first generation lawyer.
Okay. So, so how did you come about with doing cyber law and everything? So how is your work, let's say? So basically, I would like to ask you that we have been going throughout about e-courts and everything. Do you think that e-courts can replace normal courts? Like, is India right now equipped to replace normal courts with e-courts?
Yes, we can say that it is happened because in the period of a lockdown, in a period of a crisis, or there is lots of things like that. Very serious criminal are in a particular state, or are in a jail of a particular state. And if he is a witness, or he is a particular, he have to come in another state courts and other things. So we can remove all that things with the e-courts and with the video conferencing. And there is a lots of thing and lots of, I am according to, there's lots of advancement. There is a lots of things which is very important for that. So the e-courts can not properly, but yes, e-courts replace our regular courts in this particular field. Or it is also for a young, it is not that, because we can say that a Switzerland court, USA are using virtual courts from 2005. So last 15 years, the New Zealand courts and the other countries courts are using video conferencing, are using e-courts, and they are doing very well. So, so it is, yeah, so it is important. But in India, there is a lots of things like not awareness, like not a techno-savvy people. So it is difficult. But we can do it. If we are started that, if we are working that, then we can do it. Yes.
I've seen many, even the lawyer, even people that I'm working with right now, they always say that, oh, it's so difficult for us to manage internet. They don't know how to go online, because you can see the lawyers right now, they don't even have a Facebook account, and you are expecting them to come online and, conduct, be in e-courts. It's very difficult for them to manage everything. So I think there is a lot of training that should have been done before actually going through e-courts. At the period, the time when the courts were closed fully, they should have trained these lawyers to actually learn how to do e-courts and everything, because I can see a lot of difficulty. Of course, there is also that India right now is not very equipped with the internet, and there are many places in India which don't receive internet right now, or people who are from the lower class who don't have access to phones, technical phones which have front cameras, or phones which can access internet and all that. So it's very difficult for people who are either from the lower strata of the society, and also for people who are not equipped in technology. It's very difficult for them. And basically, but right now we have to understand that, sir, if you would agree with me, that the future is technology, the future is cyber. So yeah, it was a great discussion about e-codes, sir. So sir, I was really just getting away from the topic. I was really interested when I knew that you won the youngest
I want to add
award.
something.
Yeah, sure. Sir.
I want to add something. The Supreme Court is also started an initiative, and the E-Committee of a Supreme Court for a video conferencing has started this initiative to train lawyers, to train judges, to train police officers regarding video conferencing. And they have appointed a master trainer, and from the law judiciary field, the judges, from the lawyers who are techno savvy and good in a technology, and then they have trained them, particular lawyers and judges, and then the judges and the lawyers who are trained by Supreme Courts or E-Committee are giving training to other lawyers with the help of bar associations, with the help of other associations who are working in a legal field. So it's a good news also that I am also appointed as a master trainer by E-Committee of Supreme Court for training judges and lawyers in for a video conferencing. So the Supreme Court is also taking initiative, and Bar Council of India also taking initiative for that, to train lawyers and to train people for a video conferencing or for a e-course or a concept of e-course and other.
Okay, great. So I was very curious about your book right now. So you have, I think, received the national award for being the youngest person to write a book on law. And so how was your process of writing a book on law? How did you come up with the idea of writing a book and all? So if you would like to discuss that.
It's not my concept or like that. It's not my dream to write a book or all that thing. While working in a cyber field or a cyber law field, I'm writing a research paper or article on that, and the articles and the research paper are published in lots of journals, in a Supreme Court journal and all that. Then I'm invited by a Bar Council of India to present a student in on a law topic. Then there's a last CJI is also present as a guest there. Then I think 17 minutes are allotted for me for a particular talk. Then I'm starting a topic with the cyber and start my session or a speech. Then the lots of people and lots of big we can say that big celebrities, lawyers or big persons are there, and our senior judges are there, and they have lots of people, lots of and all the people are said to me that to write a book on that, or to write a book on a particular cyber law, cyber crime. And then I'm starting to write a book on a cyber field, and lots of people are helping for me that. And then I'm sending a particular, and I'm also included the investigation part, a law part, recent cyber crimes and other things in my book. And then it gets the success, lots of success, I can say it. I'm not thinking that too much success for that, but my book has got lots of success, lots of awards, and the things gone. So the journey of my book, writing a book, is that for.
Okay. So sir here is being very humble right now when he's saying that, the book has about the success of the book. The book has received a lot of success, and I highly recommend all of you to go on Amazon and check out the book. And I think it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to encapsulate everything that sir here talks about cyber law. So also, sir, I would just like to ask you a few things. Like, I am a law student right now. I'm in my second year at DY Patil University. So I just wanted to ask you what, if I wanted to supposedly go into cyber law, do I have to be tech savvy beforehand? Like, do I have to be somebody who's really good at technology when I go into cyber law if I study that?
Yes, it is some basic things you have to be learning that for that. Like some things of ethical hacking, some coding languages, you have to learn for that. Something or a little bit you have to have basic knowledge about that. So if you have a basic knowledge, it is easy to you to do a thing. Like you have know about the IPs, you have know about the servers, you have know about the chain and all that things. So you have easy to do a work in this field. or doing another thing in this field, or you have to learn you have to know about the IT laws, you have to know about the criminal procedure law or other things to do work in that particular field, or you have also about the particular, you have can do a research on a case studies behind the hacking, behind the other laws of a particular cyber cases, like a single case is very important, Shafi Mohammed case, Paras Jain versus the State of Rajasthan. There is lots of important cases in cyber, so you have to study them, or then you can know about the things that what are the concept of the code, what are the eye of a code behind the cyber law and all that things. So you can do first, and then you can also read the book of various cyber security experts or article are present, so you can do things better than this.
Okay. So I was also wondering that if I supposingly am equipped with cyber law, but then what is good for me to do, to open my own independent practice or to work with a law firm?
In a starting period, you have to do work with the law firm, or to know the procedure, to know the consequences behind that, to know how to deal with the clients, and to know the lots of things like investigation process and all that thing. So you have to firstly to join a particular law firm for a short term period, or a particular things you can do it. Then you can open your firm, then you can do individual practice, or you can also become advisor for a government also. You can also become advisor for other things like army persons, for army officials, from a police academy, and there is lots of scope in this particular field.
Okay, okay, great. So thank you so much for being on the show today. We are really happy to have you. And I think the viewers here today are going to learn so much about cyber law and about you and your journey in cyber law. So thank you so much, sir, for being here today. And so my viewers here, you can contact Rohit Jain, sir, either on his Instagram or on his LinkedIn. And he's going to be available to take your questions or connect with you. So, and please stay connected to our YouTube channel, Law Talkie. And please subscribe to us and press the bell icon so that you can get our notifications. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to come on your show.
Thank you, sir. Okay.